Welcome, welcome, August Assembly. All those at Nebraska Zen Center, beautiful, beautiful chanting voices. Benji, wonderful job on the we call the kokyo. And thank you, everyone online. Thanks for being present this morning for a practice with Nebraska Zen Center. I see folks from Zen Fields as well as Nebraska Zen Center. So thank you. Thank you. Longevity like a gold stone. The question I want us to raise and think about during, if not this Dharma talk, during this new year that has come upon us, is how much do you value yourself? I know that every one of you value
Daishin,
and how deeply
you're
yeah
freezing up a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now we can. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you for telling me if things get a little bit fuzzy here. So the question I want to bring up during this talk is how much do we value ourselves, because I know each of us values ourselves, and how deeply connected are we with our eternal value,
No. Oh, okay.
Right. Hope you can enjoy the fireworks there. This is a blessing. This phrase that we're going to look at, this phrase, let me show you what it looks like here. These are the Chinese characters, and thanks to folks that I've been working with from one person from China, one from Japan, I've come to understand that this particular phrase is a blessing, and I think it's appropriate to use as a New Year's blessing, as a movement, as we move into the new year. And the question we also want to ask ourselves is how do we want to move into the new year? So let's look at this phrase a little bit. Here are the Chinese characters. And this first one on the left means, it could mean longevity. It could mean wishing well, wishing somebody. The second one has to do with like. Like, it's making a comparison with golden stone or rock, gold rock. So let's investigate together this blessing and how we might integrate it into our lives, if not into this particular talk. So the first character, to wish or to wish or to have longevity, to wish for or to have longevity, maybe a combo of those two. And how about you? What do you desire? What do you desire? Do you desire? I'm sure you desire for health, for happiness, and to live to a ripe old age, assuming that your health is good. assuming that you live a relatively happy life. So this is an opportunity to reflect on where we are. Where are we? Where are we in this, in our life? Now, are we satisfied? Is our health to the absolute best that it can be? Do we desire to live to a ripe old age? And you might wonder, is this really appropriate? Is this an appropriate question for us to ask ourselves, given that Buddhism focuses so much on the impermanent nature of reality? You might ask, is that an appropriate question that I could be asking? Should I desire to live a long life? Should I desire to be healthy, given that everything is impermanent? Everything is constantly changing? And I will say a resounding yes. It is definitely not out of alignment with Buddhism to wish to be healthy, to wish to be happy, to wish to live a long life. And let me, if you will, let me illustrate this with a story. This one is called The Order of Life and Death. There was once a wealthy man who asked Sengai. Sengai was a famous Zen monk and a calligrapher. He asked Sengai to create a work of calligraphy for him. So Sengai eagerly takes up his brush and begins to write. And the way my teacher taught this story is that this wealthy man, he was having a wedding party for his son, and he wanted a blessing. He wanted the Zen monk to offer a blessing for his family and for his son that was soon to be married. So what does Sengai write? The father dies, the son dies, the grandson dies. Can you imagine? The father dies, the son dies, the grandson dies. It's supposed to be a blessing. And look at the expression. Look at the expression here. This artwork, by the way, this is from a book by Tsai Tse Chung called Zen, what is it? I can't see it from here. But anyways, it's authored by a Chinese artist. So this very wealthy man is obviously upset about what Sengai has written. And look how large he's depicted here and how much smaller Sengai is depicted. And he says, I wanted you to write something auspicious. What are you trying to pull? And Sengai's response is, this is auspicious. What? How could this be auspicious? How could this be auspicious? The father dies, the son dies, the grandson dies. Sengai, what's auspicious about this? And Sengai says, if your sons were to die before you, or if your grandsons were to die before your sons, you would be extremely unhappy. In other words, there is a natural order to life. And we would be so unhappy when our children die before us. It's an expectation as parents that our children outlive us. It's an expectation of teachers that their students outlive them. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy when children die before their parents. And unfortunately, I'm sure you guys have all heard the news. We had a recent shooting at a school in Perry, Iowa, just not 40 miles from where I live in Ames. Very tragic. I'm aware that at least several people were injured and one young child was killed in that incident. That's a tragedy. We know it, we feel it on a gut level. And in the same way, we desire to be outlived by our children. And sometimes these tragedies, we never want them to happen, but it helps us to wake up to what we value. We value life. We value happiness. We value well-being, right? Sometimes we forget that. And the other question is that I want to come back to is, how much do we value ourselves? How much do we value ourselves? So let's take a longer look, a little closer look at these characters. Like a gold stone, like a gold rock, right? What could this mean? How can we make this relevant for us? What does it mean to be like gold, to be like a golden rock? And if we look at the qualities of gold, it can illuminate what we're after here. Gold on the left column here, you'll see gold. On the right column is human Buddhas to be. That's us, right? If you're here practicing Zazen, your desire is to wake up fully, to become a fully enlightened being, right? So on the left, gold is lustrous, attractive. It doesn't tarnish. It is indestructible and malleable. I love that word, malleable. Right? In Buddhist teachings, there is the saying of the golden body of the Buddha. The Buddha has the characteristic of having a golden body. There is something in our mind that values this metal, right? There's something in us that values this metal. So let's look at it a little bit more. These facts about gold. Look at this. It boils at 2,808 degrees Fahrenheit. Woo! That's pretty indestructible. Can you imagine being in a fire that high? It takes that much heat to actually boil gold. It's so rare. Gold is so rare that a 1 ounce gold nugget is more rare than a 5-carat diamond. Take 22 meters cubed and you get all the gold ever mined in the world. 22 meters cubed. It's quite rare. Now, where is it? It's number 79 on the periodic table. It actually it's one of those metals on the periodic table, number 79, which means it has 79 protons in the nucleus of every atom. That's good to know about gold, right? We can get down into it and see it on a microscopic level. What is gold? Well, gold has the quality of having the number 79 in its protons around its nucleus. That's its particular quality, not 78, not 80. We rearrange these protons and you get gold. But gold is fired inside of a star, and it takes a certain temperature to produce gold, to get these protons to come together in that particular way. You can't make it. At least that I'm aware. Maybe scientists have found a way to make gold, but I'm not aware that they have. The gold on our planet I'm not sure, I'll have to check, you can fact check me on these, but came from meteorites 200 million years ago when our Earth was much younger. We were struck by meteorites containing gold, and they got incorporated into our crust. Gold is only 0.0000004% of Earth's crust. Very, very rare to find it. It's non-toxic for most people. It's non-toxic to have it touching your skin. Now let's take a look at, let's transition here. Let's take a moment to transition into how Buddhism, and in particular, how Zen Master Dogen uses this quality of gold to describe our practice. He talks about the 16-foot golden body. That's what these Chinese characters read here, the golden body. The golden body. It's referring to the Buddha. The Buddha's referred to as having a 16-foot golden body. And in Dogen's instructions to the Tenzo, he talks about it here. He says, taking up a green vegetable, turn it into a 16-foot golden body. Take a 16-foot golden body and turn it into a green vegetable leaf. Woo! Can you do that? That's our practice. It's not can you do it? Do it. That's the practice. When we take up any food that we're holding in our hands, can you see the body of the Buddha? Then there is a transformation of consciousness. We see this isn't just a plain old leaf that we can eat and or discard. This is of great value. In fact, it has the same worth as gold. It has the same worth as the body of a Buddha. Later on, Dogen writes in Uji, Being Time, because you think your time or your being is not truth. I mean, just hold on to that for a second here. Do you think that your body and the time that you are here is not truth? This is Zen. This is Zen right here. This is the core of Zen, that our body is itself the Dharma, is itself truth. Right? But our minds get in the way. If we're really honest, if we're honest with ourselves, our mind gets in the way of seeing this. And that's where practice comes in. Because you think your time or your being is not the Dharma, is not the Buddha. You believe that the 16-foot golden body is not you. You believe that the 16-foot golden body is not you. However, your attempts to escape from being the 16-foot golden body are in vain, are nothing but bits and pieces of the time being. How do we actualize? How do we actualize this golden body of the Buddha in your body mind? Well, one, arouse way-seeking mind. Arouse way-seeking mind. Have the desire to become a Buddha. Have the desire, the same desire that you would have to own a ounce or 3 ounces or 10 ounces of gold. Wouldn't you want to have several ounces of gold at your disposal? Don't you desire that? Of course we desire it, right? We're human beings, we desire that. And Buddhism says, put that same intense desire for gold into making yourself into a Buddha. How do we do that? We practice. We do exactly what we're doing right now. We're practicing. Don't worry how good or bad you are. Like Faith and Mind says, it's not about perfect or imperfect. Your body right now, as it is the Buddha. Attain enlightenment, enter nirvana. That's our practice. All right? Let enlightenment be just as desirous as gold. And practice, one way we can look at this, there's two ways. There's two ways to look at practice. The first way is the external. In practice, we conform to certain external forms. This means we take care of our external appearance, just as though you were wearing gold, right? Somebody who wears gold has some pride in what they're wearing. In the same way, we wear, in a sense, we wear the practice, just as though we were wearing gold. We have a sense of integrity that this is precious. This practice is precious. And we learn the forms. We learn how to bow, right? We learn how to bow. We learn how to bring our palms together. And we learn that the palms come a certain distance away from the nose, right? A fist distance away from the nose. That the tips of the fingers are just below the bridge of the nose, right? That's the gasha. And we bow bending from the hips. This is a form. This is a form when we bow to our cushion. This is a form that our body takes. We want to take that form as though we were holding on to gold. What else does this mean? Keep your body clean. Some people think, oh, with spiritual practice, you don't have to worry about your external appearance. It's what matters what's on the inside matters more. And that is not the case with Zen. It's not what matters it's not that what happens on the inside isn't important, and I'll get to that in a second. But we start with our external appearance, and we want to take care of our external appearance. That means we keep our body clean. We wash ourselves. We wash our hands, if for no other reason than to eliminate germs. We exercise our body. We keep ourselves well groomed, and we dress appropriately for the occasion. Right? These are all ways of practicing Zen, is taking care of how you look on the outside. I admit I am not I didn't take well to this particular teaching. I love my mother, and as a kid I was nagged a lot about taking care of how I looked, and I thought, oh no, this is not important, it's what's on the inside. But what I learned is that my mother, really, she was my best Zen, one of my best Zen teachers right at the start of my life. I had a built-in Zen master within my mom. Right? Take care of yourself, comb your hair, wash yourself, exercise, all of these things, dress appropriately. Zen works from the outside to the inside. So we can't always control our mind, but we can control our appearance. It's much easier to control our appearance, right? The face that we present to the world is the way that the Dharma is transmitted. The face that we put out there, that's the Dharma being transmitted. Right? And my own teacher, she would tell me, place your robes right. Get your robes on right. Get that V-neck shape with the collar and the kimono and the koromo. Get the okesa on correctly. Make it smooth so it looks good. This is how we start. We start from the outside. The external appearance is important. It should not be ignored. right? But don't ignore your internal state either. And we can look now, just as gold, we have this attraction, affinity to it. It looks beautiful on the surface. It's one of those metals that looks gorgeous on the surface, and it can be crafted into anything. But gold also has some other qualities to it that are related to our practice and that are connected to our internal state. And I would like to focus here on the malleability of gold, that gold is soft, that it is flexible. It can be made into whatever shape you want it to make, you want to make it into, right? And this is absolutely parallel to what Dogen calls Nu Nanshin. Nu Nanshin. Dogen was asked in the 13th century when he came back from China after his studies in the Zen temples there, he was asked, what did you bring back with you? Shinran brought back the teachings of his various sutras, and Kukai brought back the sutras of those particular teachings. Now, what did you bring back? What sutras did you bring back? And his response, Nu Nan Shin, a soft and flexible mind, a soft and flexible heart. That's what Zazen does for us. It helps us. It helps us to become more flexible internally. More flexible internally. And of course, yoga, as we know it in the West today, helps us become more flexible on the external side, but also on the internal. We don't want to ignore our flexibility, both on the physical level as well as the heart-mind level. All right, I'd like to close with a little poem to bring this together. Treasure yourself. You are a treasure. Turn into the golden body. The gold body is you. Live healthy, live happy, live long, like gold. Thank you. Now, I want to, I've created this calligraphy actually quite some time, a few months ago, and it says this: longevity like a gold stone. And in the spirit of Nonin, I would like to give it to somebody who'd like to have it. And if you'd like to make a donation to the Nebraska Zen Center for it, you're welcome to do that. Just let me know and I'll make sure you get it. All right. So just a plug in there. All right. Thank you so much, folks.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. And I want to hear your questions. I'd love to hear what's going on for you now. Please.
Anybody have questions, comments, things to say? Ask.
And feel free to unmute yourself online, not to be bashful. It's good to see everybody.
I have a question. I have two sons, and one of my sons has a lot of difficulty with like you were talking about when you were younger, of getting dressed and doing his hair and whatnot. How, as a Buddhist practitioner, would you go about helping him take care of his outer body without shaming him or like the guilt trip?
Right. Yeah. That's really a great question. And I'm sure you probably know your son better than any of us. So, I mean, I can offer just what I do, but I don't even think I'm successful. As far as getting I think that the key is that we, as much as possible, reduce ourselves as parents trying to control what our kids do, and at the same time request that they do things. Right? You can always request, And you can always make it clear this is what you value, not by just what you're saying, but also by your own appearance. That's the best way, is by your own appearance, like how you appear, how you take care of yourself. They're gonna follow that more than anything you say. But then we just got to let it go. We can't control our kids to do what we want. And sometimes the universe comes in from other angles and helps them out with that. That's why they go to school. That's why they got other friends and other adults in their life too that kind of direct them in that way. But sometimes they just want to be a little, I don't know, they don't want to do what you say. They're asserting themselves, right? Yes. All right, dad said that. Okay, that's the exact opposite. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts. I don't have a, do this and it's going to happen. But for as far as our practice goes, is we practice that malleability, that flexibleness, give them the time that they need to digest that teaching. That's a dharma. That's a big teaching you're giving. And we all need time to digest it. It's taken me years, literally. It's taken me years, and I still don't think I've completely digested my mother's teachings. you know? So give them the space. Give them the space. That's my feeling. But you know your kid best, and I'm sure what you're doing is on the right track. Keep at it. Just keep your effort up there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Daishin, I appreciate you talking about the body, because I've been thinking a lot more about, I don't know, like it almost, I don't know. It's almost like when we think about mindfulness and the kind of awareness, the state of awareness that we raise when we like raise mindfulness in ourselves, it almost seems just the word mindfulness, the word mind seems to be so closely associated with like thoughts and cognition, when we are using mindfulness to like more fully inhabit our body. Like to myself, I almost want to like change that term to like bodyfulness, because like mindfulness is very centralized, like up here, it's like very head, but to really inhabit your body. And like I've also been like noticing like where just in my day-to-day life, like where the situations that I get stuck in, or it's all in your head. It literally is just all in your thoughts and your beliefs and your cognition. And in a really like stupidly simple like practice, when I notice it, I just shift into my body and my breathing, and it's like magic. It's like poof, like it disappears. And I'm like, oh, well, isn't that something? And so it really does, it just seems like as far as like practice in a way of like orienting yourself to the world, it's almost like the body is truer than the mind almost. And so
Yes.
and like you just really, it seems like such a stupid simple thing, but like you can use your body as a resource in that way to contribute to your own well-being. And like a byproduct of that is more balanced and equanimity in your mental health as well. And and I'm not saying anything anybody doesn't already know, but like it's really interesting to like try and hone in on it and actually like use that as a like moment to moment practice in your day.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I think you're right on there, Sarah.
Thank you. So,
Hey, Max,
hi.
nice, beautiful child there.
No, thank you.
Thanks for
Um,
bringing him into the Dharma talk.
yeah, and thank you for your talk. Um, I was just thinking about how, before she was born, like, used to do a lot of backpacking and rock climbing, always very outdoorsy. Uh, eager to introduce her to that when she's a bit older and we can manage that a bit better. But it's hard to maintain like those standards of cleanliness out in the backcountry, camping and whatnot. Do as you might, you're gonna wind up being kind of grungy. But thinking about like how at the end of that trip, even if it was just like a long weekend, taking that first shower is such a relief. And thinking like you, I also as a kid was sort of pushed back on that managing appearance and whatnot. But it's helpful to realize that this isn't like so much a you should do this like that sort of moralizing standard, the shame that we want to try to avoid, especially parents relating to kids, but seeing how like uh, this like so much of what we do in Buddhism is this study of our suffering with the First Noble Truth, and seeing how much it's a relief to do these things, to take care of the body, to wash yourself, to get that exercise. You really do feel better afterwards. And yeah, I think that was helpful for me growing up to see that.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are really good points. And to be honest, I remember, I can't remember, was it one of my teachers was saying that sometimes the more that you practice, the messier your life gets. And then our practice becomes, well, can we be okay with that too? My teacher's room was a disaster. And she would say, in order for the rest of the temple to be clean, all of the mess has to go somewhere, so I take it. I don't know. I don't know if I totally agree with her, but she's making a good point, is that no matter how cleanly we try to be, there's a mess somewhere. And that's where our practice is. And that's also where humility gets developed. Like we think, oh, I'll just be clean. Because some people overdo it, right? I think that's the pushback I would like to give, is that some people overdo cleaning and their appearance and all of that, when really they're hiding something that they don't want other people to see. They don't want other people to see their own mess. And so they make a big facade. So that's the other side here that can also happen. Where practice is that we just simply recognize, oh, you know what? My life is a mess sometimes. I'm a mess sometimes. And this is where the practice is. This is where, if your life is a mess, good. Now practice, right? Take one step. Maybe it's just washing your face when you wake up in the morning. Maybe it's just fixing your bed. It starts with these little things. And we recognize with humility, my wife was just telling me this morning, hey, you got to wash your own dishes. Don't I know that I need to wash my dishes? Well, apparently I'm not with it. Yeah, I got to wash my dishes. I do. And she noticed that I didn't wash my dishes. Okay. I got some practice to do there. Right. So we've got our teachers all around us. Don't think because I'm doing this longer or priest or whatnot, I'm better at it. No, I need to practice. We all do. So all I got to say is look around you, see what needs to be cleaned up, and do it without making excuses. All right. When your bowls are finished, wash them. That's how one monk got enlightened. He went to the teacher with his bowls and he said, I finished eating. What should I do now? Did you wash your bowls? No, I didn't wash my. Go and wash your bowls. And the monk was enlightened on that. All right. Lots of opportunities for us to practice. See where the messes are in your life, literally and figuratively. Where are the messes in your life? Clean those up. Work on those places. And it could also be the internal state. Sometimes our internal state is a mess. We get anxious. We devalue ourselves. We don't see ourselves like gold. we devalue ourselves. We think we don't matter. We think what we do doesn't matter. Nobody cares. People do care. I care. I care what you do. Right? The Buddha cares what we do. Everybody cares what we do. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate your guys' practice. We just keep at it. We keep at it, putting that effort in there. And I look forward to seeing you all in, what is it? Next week? The week after? I can't remember. Couple weeks. Okay. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. But please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Phone, text, email, all those work. I'd love to talk with you. And we practice together. I cannot practice without your presence. I can't do what I do best without you being, we do this together. The practice is not individual. It's together. We do this together. That's how we find ourselves. We see, when I'm together with other people, now another side of myself shows up that wouldn't appear otherwise. All right. So I just encouragement to do it, to practice together. Also, Lincoln Zen Center. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Eric, Dan, Washington. So good to see you. Chris, thank you. Thank you, Myorin. And Navab, thank you. And everybody at the Nebraska Zen Center, thank you guys for your practice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Remove our cushions back so we can bow.
Do we do a closing?
Announcement?
Oh, no, sure.
Yeah, fine, whenever. Just a few announcements. First of all, even though I failed to give any advance warning, the temple really needs some cleaning, so if people can stay for a half hour or so afterward, we can do some work practice together. Also, Reverend Koji Akuviva is coming this next weekend. He's offering once again his River of Joy retreat, which is a silent Sesshin-like retreat, but shorter and focusing more on gaining some ease in your practice and in your sitting. And so please sign up by the deadline. It's a shortened day. There's one noon meal provided with that. And I encourage people to give it a try. So if you haven't done a sesshin yet, it's a nice entry point. If you've done a lot of sesshins, it's also a nice balance point for you. And then the following week, Daishin will be here. I think we're doing full moon this time, are we, Daishin?
Isn't there a calligraphy
No,
class?
it's not full moon.
It's
There you go.
calligraphy class. That's also a sign up online. And Genjo Koan retreat on Saturday afternoon. That's another sign up online. So please go to the website and check out the many offerings that we have coming. Also, this next week, Taizan is going to be joining us as a resident priest in training here, working together with Daishin. So that's going to be exciting as well. Okay, shall we move on? Do the closing chant.